So today we have Skatewives. I like this channel a lot. I thought they had a funny dynamic where it's like a husband and wife, but it's always posed from the wife's point of view, and the husband is like a skater, and then it's kind of like always like from the wife explaining stuff.
There's not much to do while I wait. I'm just sitting here watching everyone commute to work, crossing my fingers, hoping as hard as I can that I don't run into anyone from high school and have to explain why I'm sitting on a bench in a random concrete park in Boston, talking to myself on camera, wearing a bad wife hat, filming my husband skateboarding. Where would you even start?
So they made this video. Data proves it. I don't really rock with the AI thumbnail that hard, but I like the topic. Skateboarding is old. I feel like we're gonna get... I watched one video of them where they were talking about the ownerships of companies, and they made a PowerPoint saying which conglomerate owns which companies, the money, the deals, the dates. I really like the analytical approach. So I think in this, they're going to come in with some analytical approach. So I'm very interested to see.
A 46-year-old man on the cover of Thrasher magazine may sound strange until you realize it's Andrew Reynolds, a living legend of skateboarding. But when 43-year-old Jerry Sue showed up on the cover a few months later, I started to wonder, how old are the skaters on Thrasher covers? After all, the whole skate industry has been saying skateboarding is old lately. But I wanted some data, and I quickly realized the story's a little bit more complicated.
Not yet,
So
Steve.
the Jerry Sue Thrasher cover arrived in the mail the other day. And, well, I actually really like the cover. One of my first thoughts was, I know Jerry's in his 40s, and they had Reynolds on the cover earlier this year, who's also in his 40s. How old are the cover skaters of Thrasher this year? So I looked at the numbers now that we are at the end of the year here. And
I told you he's coming with the data. I knew it. Hell yeah. 30, 30, 40, late 20s, 30. Interesting. No one under 25.
I thought it was kind of interesting. Oldest skater was Andrew Reynolds. He's 46. The youngest was a tie between Alex Midler and Tom Shar at 26. The youngest skater on Thrasher's cover being 26 was a little bit surprising. But not as surprising as finding out the average age was almost 31 and a half years old.
Damn!
Was this an anomaly?
I'm only slightly over.
Did last year also have kind of a similar trend? So I pulled last year's data. I could not figure out Jeff Carlisle's age, but he's definitely older than 25, and it didn't really affect the average.
48.
The oldest skater last year was Lance Mountain, who was 60. And
oh
that
my
was
gosh.
like a special edition 60th birthday issue.
I think in true like data analysis, obviously 12 is a super small sample. I think you meant to take out the highest and the oldest and the lowest, highest and the youngest to get the true like median,
Alyssa
right?
Steamer 48 was also on the cover last year, as was Alexis Sablone, who's 38. The youngest was Felipe Mota at 18.
Boom.
And the average age last year was 32.7.
Damn!
So if we look at the last 2 years of Thrasher covers, the average age of the skater on the cover is 32
I'm right in the zone.
Old, which
let's do a dark slide and get a cover.
I'm 32 years old right now. And I've been skating for 20 plus years. I can't imagine what a 12 to 16-year-old sitting at home is thinking when they look at the cover of Thrasher, Skateboarding's Bible, and see a 32-year-old on the cover. It's just not relatable.
In my prime.
And meanwhile, the entire industry is hemming and hawing about how skateboarding is getting old and kids aren't skating anymore. The cover of the issue is 32. That's gotta be a big reason why. But maybe I'm just misremembering. And so I went back 20 years to see if that was true.
Oh my god. This is interesting. This is actually very interesting. I'm trying to think why. Why would the skaters typically be older? Because, like, it's not like there's not as many new young kids. Like, there's so many good young kids. But maybe it's just they're not cool enough. Like, they don't have the cool factor to get, like, co-signed to be on the cover. Because being on the cover is half, I would say, like, 30% trick, 70% cool factor. So, like, if you're already in the Cool Kids Club and then you do a sick trick, you'll definitely get on. If you're very much in the Cool Kids Club and you do a medium trick, you'll still get on.
I looked at all the Thrasher covers from 2000.
But if you're out of the Cool Kids Club and you do an insanely good trick, you still won't get on.
To 2005, there were a couple ages I could not get, but got everybody's age for the most part. The oldest is Rick Howard at 33, so he's the oldest from 20 years ago, but he is only 1 year older than the average skater now. The youngest is Tommy Sandoval at 18. And the average here is 25.1 years old. So then, if we fast forward 10 years to 2014 to 2015, I did the same thing. A couple notes here. Louis Barletta and Ben Ramers had like a doubles photo on the cover, and Louis Barletta famously does not reveal his age. So I used 42 as a placeholder and averaged that with Ben Ramers, who I think was 23. So that's where this age comes from. January 2015 was a series of covers. So there were 4 different covers. All these guys were 23 to 25. So that average makes sense. And then similarly, September 2015, same thing, 2 different covers, and 23 and 25.
Wait, what? How is there more than one cover?
So that 2015, so series of covers. So there were 4.
You get different versions of the magazine? Is that what he's saying? I don't fucking remember that. I didn't even know that was possible. This is all the same issue?
4 different covers. All these guys were 23 to 25, so that...
You know what I want to learn now? Like, I would love to figure this out. I'm sure there must be a way to figure this out. If you get the cover of Thrasher, how many magazines get printed with the magazine? I would love to know that. I would love to know the number. Because, like, what is it? Is it 100,000? Is it 10,000? Is it a million? I mean, sure. I would think 100,000 is too many. I would think it's like, I don't know. Because they're doing it every month. It's got to be like 20,000 or something.
Average makes
I don't
sense.
know. I would love
and
to fucking know somehow.
Similarly, September 2015, same thing, 2 different covers, and 23 and 25, so that averaged to 24. Anyway, the oldest skater to have the cover in these 2 years was Ave, who had it at 36. He also won SOTY that year. The youngest was Miles Silvas at 19, and the average here was 24.7 years old. So then I went ahead and I bucketed these skaters based on age groups. So basically every 5 years, under 20, early 20s, late 20s, early 30s, late 30s, and 40 plus. So we can kind of see the distribution here. The biggest group is the early 20s, then late 20s, then early 30s. If we go to 10 years later, we see the same thing. Biggest group is early 20s, then late 20s, then early 30s.
Favorite skater as a kid, Eric Costin. I think when I was really young, it was like Tony Hawk, Bam Margera. But then like when I was more like core traditional skater, it was Eric Costin for sure.
But now, if we go to present day, the last 2 years, the biggest group is late 20s, then early 30s, then 40s is actually number 3. So we've shifted a whole bracket forward here and now have virtually no representation of teenage or early 20s skaters. And again, the whole industry is like, skating is getting so old. Why don't kids skate? This might be why. Not fully, but it certainly should be ringing.
The Thrasher cover not having representation, I don't think is why there's not. I think this is just a cataclysm of there being less younger people, though.
An alarm bell and is illustrative.
But I think also as well, like this is kind of a, like if you were a true data analysis, right? You can't use one magazine because like I said, this is Cool Kids Club. If you don't fuck with Thrasher, you'll never, ever, ever, ever be on the cover. So then it's not really right. It should really be Slap, Thrasher, Skateboarder Mag, Transworld. But all of those magazines are fucking dead, so we can't do that anymore. But like a true data analysis, you would never say, let's take the data analysis of Toyota. You would have to do a bunch of different car manufacturers. But this is interesting. I mean, what he should do too is like, if he really wanted to nerd out, is like maybe go on Thrasher's video parts and get the average age, or like some other like skate publications and get the average age. I think Thrasher is an echo chamber and hasn't been pushing the new blood. Yeah, that's what I would say. This is the most likely representation is you're in the Cool Kids Club. Niger doesn't win SOTY company. This is just them saying, these are our friends. Oh, and now they're older, so our friends are here. Oh, now they're older, so our friends are here. That's what it feels like to me.
What is going on? There's no representation from the young kids. Now that we're in SOTY season, I kind of wondered if Skater of the Year was following this same trend. So I looked at the first 10 skaters of the year from 1990 to 99, and on average, they were a little over 20. Then if we look at the last
Young
10
kids think Thrasher's lame. Can you blame him?
SOTYs, the oldest is 37, youngest is 20, but the average is 26. So almost a 5.5-year jump in terms of average age of your skater of the year from the beginning to present day. And if we graph this and put a trend line on it,
you, the fucking
can also very
PowerPoint.
clearly see skaters of the year are getting older. But I wanted more data. So Thrasher has been publishing the SOTY finalists to the internet since 2013. So that's as far back as this data goes. Over here, we've got all the multi-time finalists with the winners in gold here. And so 92 different...
One second, guys. Let me just do something real quick. No! That's as good as it gets, Nigel. All right, fixed. There we go.
Names have been tapped as SOTY finalists, 56 unique skaters amongst that group. They don't pick the same amount of finalists every year. On average, there's 7.6, but it fluctuates. The most they've ever had was 13, and the fewest was 4. And the average age...
Do you actually gain money for winning SOTY? Or is it just the notoriety? Do you actually gain, like, is there like a prize? I actually can't remember.
amongst these finalists tells an interesting story. So for the first 6 years of this data, that average age ranges from 23 to 25, and on an average
I don't
as
know
a
either, to be
whole
honest.
is
Yeah.
23.6 years old. Now, the most
they get the
recent
trip.
6 years look totally different, and we have an average of 27.5 years old for...
I like what he's saying here, but I think this is kind of a Thrasher thing rather than an overall thing. I feel like his data set is compromised because it's only one company.
the most recent 6 years of SOTY finalists. So your average SOTY finalist has gotten 4 years older basically in the last 6 years, which means it's the same people. And if we look at this on a graph, again, you can see the same trend emerging. SOTY finalists are getting older. So I wondered if contest skateboarding has this same trend as well. So I looked at SLS, and yes, SLS winners are also getting older on average.
Really? That surprises me. But I guess he's listening to what I said. New data set. SLS getting old surprises me because I would have thought... But it's interesting because it's like a generational thing, right? If you look at women's skateboarding, all the women are way younger. It like sort of skipped a generation. Is like the OG pioneers are in their like 40s now, and then there's no 20-year-olds. There's only like teenage girls. Sorry, there's no 30-year-olds. There's only teenage girls now. So I don't know. It's interesting how it kind of can go like that.
SLS started in 2010, and in the first 3 seasons, the winner was on average a teenager, 18 and a half years old. Most recently, the winner
AI
has
says
been
no cash prize.
25.3 years old for the last 3 seasons. So SLS winners are also getting older. Now, I will say Nija skews a lot of this data. He's won almost half the contests, and he started winning in the very first year, and he is still winning this year. So if we put Nija's age on that graph, you can see he definitely
for real.
influences this
Too bad he can't push, though. Too bad he can't push and has lame tattoos.
trend line, but it's pretty hard to remove him because he's won so many of the contests.
That's funny.
So let's look at a different contest. We'll go over to Tampa Pro. There's been 30 Tampa
I
Pros
told you,
since
bro.
1995.
Bro is thorough. I like bro's videos. He's nice and thorough. I told you before it began that he was going to be thorough.
And the average age of the winner is 23.2. Now, I put these into buckets of 5 years where I've averaged out the age of the winners in different 5-year spans. And if we graph that, we can again see that the age of Tampa Pro winners is getting older. Most recently, from 2020 to 24, the average skater's been 26 years old winning Tampa Pro. So street skateboarding is getting older with the Thrasher covers and the SOTY finalists. And contest skating is getting older with SLS winners and Tampa Pro results. It kind of made me wonder how old professional athletes are in other sports. So I looked to big ones.
See, this is
And
great.
Actually, skateboarding isn't that old relative to the other major sports. Baseball players are in their late 20s. NBA and NFL and soccer players all seem to be around 26 years old, which is pretty similar to where we're seeing SOTY winners and SOTY finalists coalesce around. However, we're not really talking about your average skater here or even your average pro. We're talking about MVPs when it comes down to SOTY finalists, when it comes down to Thrasher covers, and that lines up as well. MVP ages of these major sports also seem to align pretty much with where skaters are at. And so that kind of begs the question. Maybe skateboarding is just finding an equilibrium point as a maturing sport. Maybe we're not that old. Maybe this is just natural. But there's a big issue with that. For these pro athletes of traditional sports, they get paid directly for their talent. Now, sure, they can make some money off their marketability as well, but it's not a core part of the job. And even in minor league baseball, which
Bacon USA. What the heck? Is that a team name?
is kind of like being a flow skater, these guys are getting paid for their talent alone. These sports leagues need to put out the best talent on the field to sell tickets, to sell TV deals, to sell merchandise, and that's how their industry operates. The skateboard industry is different.
AI MBL? What, are you saying their logo is AI? Or are you
Merchandise.
saying this team is AI?
And that's how their industry operates. The skateboard industry is different.
All right, wait, how many companies are dead? Dead. Barely breathing. Dead. Zuyog is dead, right? City is it dead, I think? Dave Paczynski? I don't even know what the fuck that is. Four Star's dead, right? DVS is as good as dead. Grind King, we're back! It's back! Converse. S is back. Habitat's dead, right? Autobahn? Is Autobahn still alive? These are Speed Demons. Who was Speed Demons? Speed Demons is dead, right? Diamond? Is Diamond dead? It's fucking insane that like the majority of everything is dead. Darkstar's dead. Crux is alive. Look, Blind's on here twice. Element is alive. Destructo is alive. Fallen is back. Enjoy is dead. Habitat isn't dead. Cliche is dead. iPod is dead. Crew is back, kind of, / dead. Lucky Bearings, I remember those. Globe is alive. Flip is as good as dead. Plan B is alive and well. Royal is dead. Pig Wheels, I think, is alive. Powell is alive. Dogtown, no idea. Jessup is alive. I don't even know what that is. What's the biggest skate brand? I don't know. I guess it has to be the shoe and the energy drinks, but I would almost categorize like shoes and energy drinks are the least skate brands. So if you're going to say, oh, Red Bull is the biggest brand, it's like, yeah, I mean, Red Bull's doing Red Bull's things and skating is kind of like caught in the crossfire. It's not really like a skate thing. But then as well, you'd say like Nike or Vans. I guess maybe Vans is like the biggest like true one, maybe. I don't know. But like, what's the biggest board companies? Like, I don't know. I feel like the board companies are really struggling. Board companies were always like the backbone of skating, and I feel like they're the ones that are like really kind of dead right now. Okay, who else is dead? Blacktop Grip Tape, never heard of it. Harbor Wheels! Damn, RIP to the Warriors. Quicksilver, Super's dead. Shorties is dead. Is Roxy dead? I think Roxy's alive. World Industries is as good as dead. Death Wish Skateboards is alive. Decline? Shit, I don't even know. Roxy's still alive, nice. Other sports have leagues that people aim for and there's money. There's no money in the sport of baseball, football, or soccer. There's no money in just the sport. There isn't a style like skateboarding where you do it and have energy. Yeah, well, it's because skateboarding is not suited for competition. Like, what's great about skateboarding is not the competitions. That's why it's completely different. That's why the league thing will never make skateboarding become baseball. Like, no matter what, skating will never become baseball. And, like, that's not a bad thing, you know? It's same as saying, like, oh, I want painting a picture to become like baseball. Fuck no, I don't want painting a picture to become like baseball. I want painting a picture to be painting a picture. And like, yeah, you'll have professional artists, but you'll also have a million broke artists. And like, there's not innately anything too wrong, but it's just like, I guess it sucks when the good artists now can no longer be good artists, and then all the artists don't exist anymore. Like, I feel like that's where we're going to now, where it's like, oh shit, we're getting to a point where people are not really able to dedicate to their lives to the shit anymore and make it work. Like even the top tier people. Anyway, let's keep seeing who's dead. There's a lot of companies I don't know on this. What is some of this stuff? Avalanche? Thrasher is alive? Is one of these like Z-Flex? Wait, we got Habitat here again. Independent, Alva, Stereo, I guess they're alive. Creature, Real, Billabong. Mob Grip, Skate Warehouse, that's the Warehouse Skateboards, I think that's still alive. A lot of money from the mainstream sports, the TV contracts. I mean, it's just there's way more people that want to watch baseball and basketball than want to watch skateboarding. And like, it makes sense, you know. I think the industry needs to figure out its shit for itself, aside from just trying to become baseball. I don't think skating just should only be ever trying to become baseball, because it's never going to fucking happen.
There are no TV deals, there are no jerseys, and the only arena getting sold out is Dime Glory Challenge once a year. The skateboard industry makes its money off selling skateboard
Did you have to buy a ticket to go to this?
products. And this means you don't just get paid for your talent, you get paid to be marketable and sell products. And now, in 2025, we have this huge demographic of skaters from the 90s and 2000s who are aging and are still skating, and they're still buying products. Now, this means major skate brands and skate media have been able to use the same skaters who are now peaking in their late 20s and early 30s to continue to sell to this demographic.
SLS got to fly me out for Super Crown, watch it live. I mean, if SLS, let's try to be objective. Who cares about me, Ricky, individual, right? If I was SLS, I would say, what are the different facets of skating? There's the super core people, then there's the influencer people that are popular, then there's all these different types, right? For sure, you would want to invite the influencer people to make content about the event. Hell yeah, like why wouldn't you do that? Like why would you never not do that?
Skaters. And that's great. It moves boards, it keeps things flowing. But because we've moved so many resources to this market, we haven't done anything to build the marketability of the next generation of skaters. At the helm of it, Thrasher has shifted to only showing the major leaguers, leaving a huge gap in media coverage for the younger up-and-coming demographic. And sometimes there's a storyline of there's no young talent and younger skaters aren't as good. Let's jump over to Tampa AM for a minute. Tampa AM has actually been getting younger.
Now, you know what it is, actually? I've come around again on my theory. I feel like the older people, they kind of like shined when there was this less competitive marketplace where there's way less skaters. Right now, there's infinitely good 18-year-old skaters, like he's about to show us in this Tampa AM clips. Everyone is so good. But now it's way harder to stand out because people are so desensitized to just like, yeah, everyone's really good, like who gives a fuck? So now it's like more competitive to try to like set yourself apart. So like I feel like maybe that could be, but see, like that wouldn't make sense for the contest data, because if you're in the contest, you're winning no matter what, you know. Whereas like the Thrasher covers, that makes a little bit more sense.
The last
but I don't know.
skater
It's
win
interesting
Tampa
to ponder all this
over 20
bullshit.
Happened in 2008. It's all teenagers. On average, the winner's 17.6 years old, and in the last 10 years, that's been 17.3 years old. And if we look at this trend, these skaters are getting younger. Now, Tampa AM used to be a contest where if you win Tampa AM, you are very much going pro and going pro soon. It's even a core part of the storyline in Tony Hawk's Underground. And previously, that was very true. I looked at all the winners of Tampa AM, age when they...
Colt Cannon, let's fucking go. 19-year-old Colt Cannon won? What the fuck? Donnie Barley, Mike Peterson, Colt Cannon, Casualberry, Spanky, Sierra Fellas. I used to really like Sierra Fellas when I was younger. Nigel won at age 10! Fucking 10-year-old won! How do you hate on him? I remember his run. I think I had it on fucking 4-on-1 DVD. He does cab flip the hip as his final trick. I remember. That's crazy. Cody McIntyre, Felipe Gustavo, Ryan Senzo, Luan, Majerus. Yo, that's crazy. Baby Nida. You wanna watch Baby Nida real quick? Because it's fucking hilarious. I wasn't even skating. I remember watching this. Let's see if he does a cab flip over a small hip for the last trick. Because, yeah, 2005, I've already been skating for 6 years. Boom. Frontside overcrook. Oh, hurricane. Heel flip front board, the heel flip era. Kick flip back 5. Front blunt shove. Run, Nija. Cab flip. I told you. I told you. The smallest hip in the park with a cab flip. Yeah, dog. Look at that memory. This was right around the age when he came to Australia. I think he was 11 when he came to Australia and did a demo at Clifton Hill Skate Park, and I was eagerly watching.
On average, the winner's 17.6 years old, and in the last 10 years, that's been 17.3 years old. And if we look at this trend, these skaters are getting younger. Now, Tampa AM used to be a contest where if you win Tampa AM, you are very much going pro and going pro soon. It's even a core part of the storyline in Tony Hawk's Underground. And previously, that was very true.
But this is why I feel like skating's dead. I feel like going pro doesn't even mean anything anymore. Like, what does it even fucking mean?
I looked at all the winners of Tampa AM, age when they won, and then how many years it took them after to go pro. And a lot of them either went pro in the same year.
Let's see the 2020
or within
data.
3 years. On average, it takes less than 2 years from when you win Tampa AM to go pro for the first 20 years of this contest. Now, if we look recently...
Yep. See? Look at this shit. It doesn't even matter anymore. Not pro, not pro, not pro, not pro, not pro, not pro. That's interesting.
Only 5 of the last 12 Tampa AM winners are pro at all. And it took them, on average, almost 5 years to get there. None of the recent winners, until you go back to 2017, are pro. And it's not like they don't ride for companies. Kyrie rides for Zero, Daiki rides for Toy Machine, Laser's on Plan B, and had a really great part come out the year after. And none of them are pro. I don't understand why we're not jumping at the opportunity to market these younger skaters. And I get it's a risk from the company standpoint to put a bunch of dollars into teenagers. But this is also the same reason why we have nothing but action hero movies and sequels coming out from the film industry, is because nobody is willing to take risk. Instead...
I don't think it's risk. I just think the return is not there. Like, they're gonna sell some boards, but like, are you gonna be able to pay them more than the amount of boost to the company the board sales will make? I don't think you will. Like, just straight up.
Using Laser Crawford as an example, who is still not pro, Plan B is doing a collab with, I don't even know how to pronounce her name, and I'm sure this will
Very
sell
topical.
a lot of boards. But in terms of long-term impact on your brand, I would imagine that spending some dollars hyping up Laser Crawford is going to pay you in the long run a little bit better than a collab.
Absolutely not. I couldn't disagree more. If he's talking about eroding the culture, blah, 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 like all these other valid things, 100%. But if he's talking raw numbers, I don't think so. I think her having a board will make more money than Laser Crawford, just pure money. And I think the testament to that is the fact that they did this shows that. Like, they didn't choose to make him pro, they chose to do this. But I don't know, what defines pro now? I feel like it has no definition. Because before it used to be, now you can make a living from skating. Focus your energy on skating because you are making a living because of this signature product and avenue to monetize, basically. That's what it used to be. But now it's like such a blur that I feel like it doesn't even mean anything anymore.
I would imagine that spending some dollars hyping up Laser Crawford is going to pay you in the long run a little bit better than a collaboration like this. And culturally speaking, I think it'd be more worthwhile for skateboarding.
I mean, you can't disagree with him there, but like, we don't live in the candy land of ifs and buts and stuff. Like, for there to be an industry of skating, it has to be about money at the end of the day, you know? Otherwise, it's just everyone's doing it for fun. And it's just everyone's a hobby. No one's going to run a skate company as a hobby. You know what I mean? Like, it's not possible. Like, it can't exist.
I wanted to look a little bit more into the whole AM and pro thing. And so I went back to the Thrasher covers. These are the Thrasher cover skaters from the last 2 years, and I looked at whether they're pro or am. It turns out 23 of 24 of them are pro. There's only been one am, and that was the Felipe Mota kickflip front blunt Hollywood High cover that was not a pro skater in the last 2 years, which again is highly problematic. We are not bringing up the next crop. We're not even introducing the next generation. Here we are a day later. I went to edit and realized I didn't really give a conclusion. Skateboarding is clearly getting older. People feel it, and the data backs it up. Part of it getting older is just a natural thing for a maturing sport. But the data also shows a rather large gap in how younger skaters used to be represented versus today. Fewer young skaters are being spotlighted by skate media and propped up by brand campaigns. This isn't just an emerging gap. It's here now, and it's already rather large. The older skateboard generation is locked in. We're going to continue buying skateboard products. We need to get the new generation in as well, and the way to do that is to be relatable in who gets spotlighted. I think back to when I first started getting Thrasher when I was 12 or 13 years old. If they had sent me 32-year-olds on the cover for 2 years straight, I probably would have stopped paying attention too. It's here now, and
I agree with a lot of what he's saying, but I feel like at the end of the day, what does this mean, get spotlighted? Like, we live in the age of decentralized media, right? Where like social media is the most powerful thing. Like as we see, they're turning the influencer pro because she's more powerful than the whole team. She's more powerful than the whole skate team, you know? So it's this kind of crazy time period that we live in that, like, I feel like he's looking more through the rose-colored glasses of someone that's kind of like my age, of being like, yeah, damn, skating should be like this and it should be like that. But I feel like at the end of the day, no matter how much you say like should, like it can't, if it can't exist, it can't exist, you know? I think one thing I would argue too is since skating become the Olympics, if you took the average age of the Japanese and Chinese skaters who are up and coming, I feel like the age will be super low because it's a new thing there where their goal is to compete in the Olympics, right? So like, I don't know, skating has all these different facets and stuff, but like, I thought this was really cool. I love to see people like analyzing this kind of data. Like, this is why skating's fun, because like, it literally is so small that the only person analyzing this data is this guy. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what's fun about skating. Like, it is this kind of like close-knit community that, so it's like in the other sports, there's thousands of people looking at the age of the fucking competitors in the sports, you know, but in skating, it's just this one man alone. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's very interesting, but shout out to Skatewives. I think they're making great content.